Hey there, wrestling fans. Welcome to another episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic, episode 323. I am your host, Lance Brock, here on a Tuesday night. Hope everyone is doing well. Hope everyone had a nice, happy, and safe Halloween yesterday. And let's get into this episode. Gonna start off by talking a little bit about last night's Monday Night RAW, and we start off with some action. Bianca Belair taking on the newly returning Nikki Cross. And after Nikki Cross returned last week, I thought that maybe they might give her a little push here and maybe make her look strong. But her first match back, she loses to Bianca Belair already. Not that that's really a bad thing. She is the Raw Women's Champion. But like I said, I just thought that since she just come back from being Nikki ASH, almost a superhero for a while, I thought that they might want to give her some momentum, maybe let her get a couple wins at first. But, well, we'll just have to wait and see where this goes. And then we go backstage to where Bobby Lashley is supposed to have a face-to-face interview, well, in separate rooms anyway, with Brock Lesnar. We see Bobby Lashley, but Brock Lesnar is not where he is supposed to be. And then we see Brock Lesnar arrive in the arena, and then he calls out Lashley. He makes his way to the arena, and we see security and the locker room make their way to the ring side area to break up this brawl. And then Triple H even comes out and says if they touch each other, that the match at Crown Jewel Saturday is off. And then we have Mr. Money in the Bank taking on the United States Champion, Seth frickin' Rollins. Rollins gets the win here. I thought this was a pretty good match. Probably the best match on the show this week on Raw. And then we have Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman in the ring. And Reigns cuts a pretty good promo here, discussing the match with Logan Paul this Saturday at Crown Jewel. And The Miz comes out, talks about how he brought Logan Paul into WWE. And I thought this was pretty good. A good callback to that, to the Miz and Logan Paul relationship. And he talks about how Logan Paul has those pins in his hand and he can throw a knockout punch. He said, just ask Jey Uso. And Roman gets on the mic and says everybody's talking about how Logan Paul is going to knock him out. And then he hits the Superman punch on the Miz. And then he says that when they should be talking about Roman Reigns knocking out Logan Paul. And next up, we have the IWGP Never Openweight Champion, even though they don't mention that on WWE TV, Carl Anderson, taking on Damian Priest from the Judgment Day. Then this one breaks down. Rhea Ripley comes in, hits a low blow, and Judgment Day gets the advantage, leaves the OC laying in the ring, and we have JBL out next, cuts a promo on Texas, his hometown, which JBL, since he's been back in this manager role now with Baron Corbin, I thought he has been very good on the mic as of late. I'm enjoying this character. Well, it's the same character really, but like he's kind of new as a manager now, and when the promos he's cut and when he's been on commentary, I thought he has done really well. JBL has always been a really good heel, and Corbin, hopefully he'll learn from JBL. And then they are interrupted by R-Truth, dressed up as a cowboy, as his Halloween costume, comes out with a stuffed horse, and he talks about their costumes, and JBL says they're not wearing any, and then R-Truth and Corbin get into it. JBL distracts Truth, and that allows Corbin to hit R-Truth with the End of Days. And next up is our usual trick or treat street fight. Matt Riddle taking on Otis. For this one though, first we get shush please, as Chad Gable makes his way to the ring, and they're dressed up like some, who was it? On Post Wrestling, they said it has something to do with SNL. Chris Farley and who's the other actor? I don't even remember now. Some other famous actor. I can't remember who the other one is, but Chris Farley and somebody did this Chip and Dale thing on SNL, I guess. So they came out, Chad Gable and Otis came out dressed like that, and for one night only, Chad Gable allows Otis to do the worm, and of course they got the candy corn, kendo sticks, all the candy out there, the tables, and as usual, Otis is the one who gets the pumpkin on his head, the usual spot that they do, and then Riddle hits the RKO on Otis, Pumpkinhead Otis, I guess you could call him, for the win. And Riddle is victorious in the trick-or-treat street fight, and Elias was also in the corner of Riddle. And next up, Mustafa Ali and The Miz. This was set up earlier in the back. And Dexter Lumis comes from the crowd and attacks The Miz. And then that allows Ali to get the win in the ring. And then next up is the sit-down interview with Johnny Gargano, and he says The Miz set up the whole thing with Dexter Lumis, and something like he didn't, ended up not paying him, and so Dexter Lumis is trying to get his money from him or something like that. And I haven't really been a fan of this whole angle with The Miz and Dexter Lumis to begin with, and this definitely didn't help the angle, in my opinion. Definitely didn't make it any better. I don't know what's going to happen with that next. but we'll just have to wait and see. And in the main event, it is Alexa Bliss and Asuka defeating Dakota Kai and Io Sky to win the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. Also, outside the ring, just before the finish, Bianca Belair puts Bayley through a couple of tables. And so we have new women's tag team champions, Asuka and Alexa Bliss. And also on Raw, it was announced that Bray Wyatt will be appearing at Crown Jewel this Saturday. So it will definitely be interesting to see what happens there. And now to talk a little bit about what happened on tonight's episode of NXT. And unfortunately, the match between R-Truth and Grayson Waller had to be stopped due to an injury to R-Truth. I haven't seen anything just yet what the injury is or how serious it is, but hopefully it's not too bad. So hopefully R-Truth will be alright. Let's hope so. And then Vic Joseph also had a sit-down interview with Schism, where the daughter of The Rock, Ava Raine, explains how Joe Gacy helped her through tough times. She talked about when she was training there in the Performance Center and she was injured, that Schism were the only ones that called her and checked on her to see how she was doing. And in the main event, the NXT Tag Team Champions, Pretty Deadly, defeated the team of the NXT Champion, Braun Breaker, and NXT North American Champion, Wes Lee. And I'm looking forward to see what happens with Ava Raine, the Rock's daughter, Simone Johnson. And speaking of The Rock, this Friday night, I believe, is the season premiere of Young Rock on NBC, which is going up against SmackDown, actually. And I am a fan of the show. I might have talked about it a little bit here on the podcast, but not a whole lot. But it is a good show, and I definitely enjoy it. And tomorrow we got AEW Dynamite. Chris Jericho with an open challenge to any former Ring of Honor champion. Not necessarily a world champion, could be former tag team champion, pure champion, television champion, women's champion, and we'll have to see who that is. I'm guessing, though, that it's going to be somebody who we have not seen yet, who is not currently in AEW/ROH. I think it's going to be a former Ring of Honor star, like, that hasn't been there yet, but who knows? We will have to wait and see. And, of course, we got this Saturday, Crown Jewel. And that's all for this episode. I hope to have more episodes, 360 Wrestling Fanatic, soon. And to talk about some shows this week, maybe do a recap of Dynamite, SmackDown, Rampage, and then of course Crown Jewel this weekend. And then if there's any big news to talk about. Thank you for listening to this episode. Remember, you can like 360 Wrestling Podcast on Facebook and follow on Instagram and Twitter. And if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, anything, 360 Wrestling Podcast at gmail.com. If you want to support 360 Wrestling Podcasts, you don't have to, but if you can, help keep the lights on, like they say, and make 360 Wrestling Podcasts even bigger and better. Anchor.fm/360-wrestling-podcasts. I usually put in the description. And also streamlabs.com/360 Wrestling Podcasts. Hope to stream there again soon. I know I always say that, but I hope to. Hopefully, maybe one day I'll get it completely figured out and become good at it, or at least I hope so anyway. And listen right here on Spreaker is the best way, but you can also listen anywhere you can find podcasts, I should say. Also, YouTube, the 360 Wrestling Podcast YouTube channel. I've been uploading to both of them, actually. Had the older one and then had the new one, but lately I've been posting on both of them. Last week me and my nephew Bruiser Brody did the unboxing for the October 2022 Pro Wrestling Crate, so you can go there and check that out. Also, like and comment on the videos, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Like Colt Cabana says, help the algorithm. And that's all. Had to get the plugs in since I didn't on the last episode. Thanks again for listening to 360 Wrestling Fanatic. I hope to be back real soon with a new episode. But until then, I am Lance, and I am a wrestling fanatic.